G'day you mob, Pete here, and this is another episode of Aussie English, the number one place for anyone and everyone wanting to learn Australian English. So today I have a Goss episode for you where I sit down with my old man, my father, Ian Smisson, and we talk about the week's news, whether locally down under here in Australia or non-locally overseas in other parts of the world. Okay, and we sometimes also talk about whatever comes to mind, right? If we can think of something interesting to share with you guys related to us or Australia, we also talk about that in the Goss. So these episodes are specifically designed to try and give you content about many different topics where we're obviously speaking in English and there are multiple people having a natural and spontaneous conversation in English. So it is particularly good to improve your listening skills. In order to complement that though, I really recommend that you join the podcast membership or the academy membership at aussieenglish.com.au, where you will get access to the full transcripts of these episodes, the PDFs, the downloads, and you can also use the online PDF reader to read and listen at the same time. Okay, so if you really want to improve your listening skills fast, get the transcript, listen and read at the same time, keep practicing, and that is the quickest way to level up your English. Anyway, I've been rabbiting on a bit. I've been talking a bit. Let's just get into this episode, guys. Smack the bird, and let's get into it. Dad.
Pete.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Welcome to this episode of the Goss.
Yeah, thank you.
Scrappy's here as well.
He's half asleep, but he's here.
That Scrappy's up on the couch.
He won't be
behind
asleep for long. He'll be all over us.
He'd be asking to get out. Like, you guys won't shut up.
He says, well, he was in the office first. He was asleep when we came in.
He was. So I can pick a topic for today. We haven't decided yet. We've just sat down.
Yeah, we just sort of made it up.
Or if you've got some that you want to do off the top of your head as a lazy episode. You don't have to look anything up, yeah.
I was going to talk about the self-publishing the book on birdwatching, which I've just done. So
give us the deets on that.
give us the deets.
And when can people get a copy? What is it? Why would they want to buy it?
Why would they want to buy it? Well, if they're interested in birdwatching on the Bellarine Peninsula where we live.
It's very niche. It was a good example of
it is
going very, very niche and carving out a market, right? So anyway, tell us the story about what it is and the conceptualization.
Yeah, well, and obviously we've talked about it before. I'm a bird watcher and photographer and have been for a long time. And one of the things that I do is check out bird books wherever I go. I rarely buy them these days because I've run out of places to put them. And I figure there's not much point in buying these books and then packing them in a box and sticking them in the garage. It's got to be on a shelf to be used. But there seemed to be a gap in the market for just the local area, and where to go and how to find birds.
Is that here specifically, or is that every local area?
Well, a lot of places don't have that, but there's a few around.
Because I imagine when you're getting into bird watching, there's books that cover all of
you can buy the
Australia.
100 best places to go bird watching in Australia or bird watching in Victoria.
And there might be like one nearby.
And there's a couple of really good books on that. But there doesn't seem to be one in the local area.
So it's the more... There's room now for people to create those types of books for more specific locations that give you more in-depth kind of information about it.
So in this case, I decided I'd do the top 25 or whatever. I didn't call it that. That's in the description, but often people do. The clickbait marketing built into the subtitle, but it's just 25 locations around the peninsula that I go bird watching, and descriptions of what you can find, when you can find it, how to get there, what's there. So are there walking trails, or are there picnic grounds, or are there toilets, or are there shops nearby if you want to buy food or a coffee or something. So it's that sort of book, in that it's not a sit down and read it cover to cover. It's a guidebook that you stick in the car and go, we'll go off to Indented Head. What is there to see? There's a couple of spots there and we'll go and have a look.
Which is pretty much what most birdos do, right?
Yeah.
You just sort of like, I want to take some photos, or I want to see some birds.
Yeah.
And they just
Where
look
can I
outside.
go?
What sort of a day is it? Where should I go?
Yeah.
What time is it?
Exactly. And the other thing I did was go through not a full taxonomic list, but a list of basically families of birds that you can find on the peninsula in part 2 of the book. So if you want to look at parrots, where do I find parrots? And where can I find honey eaters, and which species of honey eaters am I likely to find?
How much of a thing is that for most people who are deep into it, who are, twitchers, who are really into bird photography and want to go and hunt these things down? How much do they actually get into the weeds of looking for specific species or families of birds and then targeting those locations? Or do most people just say, I'll just go to this location and whatever comes, comes?
Well, if you want, I sort of define it as 3 different types of bird watchers. There's the
weirdos, weirdos, and the weirdos.
The super weirdos. There's the people who, like me, when I started when I was a kid, and I didn't specifically go out looking for birds. I was just interested in finding birds wherever I went.
But this was before cameras, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You were just...
well, before I had a camera. So,
you had an eye lens, right?
And I can remember the specific instance, and I must have been about, I think, 5 or 6 years old. And I was down at the local beach with my parents one summer, and I saw what I now know are greater crested terns with silver gulls, silver gull being probably the most common bird on the beaches around Melbourne. And I noticed they were different, and I asked Mum or Dad, because they were both there. I can't remember specifically who I asked, but I said, is that bird different from the seagulls? Because we call them seagulls, because they are generically gulls. And they said yes, and I went, there's actually a reason to look at these things now. It's, and so from then on, I just, wherever I went, I was looking at birds. So there's that sort of incidental bird watchers, if you like. Then there are those who are that my book is more aimed at, as the people who are going, I'm going to this place for a holiday, or I live around here, where can I find birds? And so I might go, I want to go to Indented Head for a holiday. Are there a couple of places down there I'm likely to find birds? What am I likely to see? And so
I guess that would be what you've sort of reverse engineered it, right? Because that would be your attitude if you were going to, say, a place interstate in South Australia that you weren't massively familiar with.
Yeah, what am I likely to find there?
And where, right? You would be like, which are the best locations I should go to? Yeah. And I imagine prior to a book like this, you would have to do a lot of delving into blogs and
and you can go. There's eBird, which is a website, ebird.org, which is run from Cornell University in the United States. So
and it just covers the world.
It's a global thing where it's a cat running along your fence.
Neighbour's cat.
Neighbour's cat.
Scrappy's like, what?
Scrappy's going, what?
Who's that?
No, go back to sleep, mate.
Every fucking day that cat comes by. I wish that neighbour would just keep it inside.
So the Cornell University have this giant database, and it's citizen science. So if people are out and looking and find birds, they actually record where they were, when they were there, how long they spent, how far they walked, and list the species
This is
they
them,
saw.
not the birds.
This is yes, exactly. Yeah, the birds going, I was here for an hour and I found good food.
They pull the microphone out. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, so that's that giant database. So if you're interested in a location or a particular species, you can come at it from either way. But up until then, when I first started, there was really nothing. You just go and look. There wasn't any resources pre the web. There were no resources that you could go and search through.
Besides books,
but other than broad guidebooks, and they were sort of guidebooks on the whole of Australia. The Guide to Australian Birds, and you go there, and they'll have a little distribution map on a map of Australia with a coloured blob where you can find them. That's not very good if you're going to a specific place. So, and then there's a third type, which are the twitchers, which are targeting particular species usually. And most people who are in that are going, I'm going to Eastern Victoria. I've never seen a superb lyrebird before. So I know I want to go to the forest that I'm going to find a superb lyrebird and look for a lyrebird.
This is where they're using their eyes as the camera, and they're just sort of like, chink, seen it. They're the weird ones, the super weird ones, right? Where it's like, they're collecting them all, but they're collecting the memory of them, right?
Yes.
They just want to see them. Oh, seen it. Chink. Boom. Done. Off the list.
Yeah. And there are photographers who do the same thing. They want to photograph as many species of birds as they can.
But at least there you've got a hard physical thing you can show.
Yes.
I don't know how, I remember I've done some of these episodes, right, talking about twitching and everything and bird photography. And it was funny that there's like competitions or whatever where they go around the country and see how many they can see in a
the
certain
Big
amount of
Year,
time.
which is the movie that was made from the book.
Yeah. And
about going and seeing them in, that's again North America.
it's like, who would you trust? You're just like, yep, seen it, I saw it, yes, I definitely did. Surely you could, like, there'd be bullshit artists.
Oh, yeah, but usually, in those cases, usually people are not required to, but there's a sort of honesty system where you would need to have it verified that somebody else saw the same bird in the same sort of time frame in the same location.
Yeah.
So you're not just going and making stuff up.
Yeah. I feel like that would be open to abuse, though.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things like...
Why would you?
Like cheating at golf. Golf's the only sport in the world where you score yourself.
People seem to cheat a lot in golf, though, Dad. At least on the weekend. The weekend warriors, the ones that are on the weekend, they're moving the ball around.
You can understand people cheating as motivation to cheat at anything if it's competitive.
Yes.
But if you're going out there, most golfers are not competing as such. They might go out and play with other people, but really what they want to do is better their own score.
Yes.
And is there any motivation for lying to yourself about beating your own score?
If you've got Alzheimer's or something where you just you read yesterday.
I shot 72 today.
Like, God damn, but it says, I did. I crushed it. Like, far out.
Yeah. So that was really the motivation for the book, was to aim at somewhere around that middle thing of people who are interested in what they can find at particular locations.
What was the process of putting the book together? Like, where did the idea come from, and then how did you do it? Because I imagine a lot of the listeners here, whether they're into birds or not, may think, I want to write a book or publish a book or potentially sell a book. And so can you outline that process of getting that done? Because you've done pretty well. You've sold, I think you said 200 copies?
A couple of hundred now,
yeah. Which is...
in 6 weeks.
That's probably better than the average book that gets released, right?
Well,
I imagine most books
I was discussing that with a friend. In order to get on the New York Times bestsellers list, you have to sell 5,000 books in a week.
So what you do
worldwide.
is usually the people that are sponsoring you to write the book will buy a crate of your books so that they end up on the bestseller thing, and then they'll sell them.
So 5,000 books in a week worldwide. So the market is, let's assume that there are 4 billion people in the world who have the market, who have the ability to buy a book somewhere.
1 in a million is bought.
So that's 5,000 people out of 4 billion. So 1 in a million people. I've sold 200 copies in a population target of 70,000 people.
Yeah, so you've done pretty well then.
So I'm way ahead of that.
You should be on the Bellarine Times first page of bestsellers.
Yeah, well, I was on the bestseller list for one of the bookshops for June. But
so what was the process like, though? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, the idea was just been bubbling along, and so I just started taking notes for myself. And obviously I've got photographs because it was going to be a photographic book as well. It wasn't just 20,000 words of text.
Yeah.
It was going to be a photographic book as well, and not trying to be to cover every species in the region. There actually is a book that's got photographs of almost every species that you can find in this region, more broadly, including the Surf Coast and Geelong. I didn't want to try and replicate that. This is more of a guidebook. So I've got most of the photographs, and so then it was just start taking notes on locations, and I did that over a period of about a year and a half.
Yeah.
And eventually I got enough where I thought, well, now I can start to write this. And it was just literally writing, and then the locations just sort of a few dropped off, and I added a couple for variation on habitat as much as anything else.
Yeah.
Didn't want to have 20 sites at beaches and 1 in the bush.
And it's all the same birds.
Yeah,
at each
exactly
one.
the same 20 species of birds. So it was covering as many habitats and as many species of birds as you were likely to find. And then it was the decision as to, do I find a publisher or do I self-publish? And I looked at it and thought, there isn't a market big enough for a publisher to say, because normally they would be in a sort of 1,000, 2,000 print run as the first run of a book, and they don't want a market that's very geographically specific.
And they're also, even if they said let's do it, they're going to take a huge chunk of whatever.
We end up with between
$1
and $2 a book.
So you're sort of like, what's even the point?
The publisher takes most, the reseller takes the rest. So I thought self-publishing is the way to go. and I'd already self-published the family history book that I wrote. That one wasn't for commercial sale.
Definitely hasn't outsold the one that you've done.
No. So I've actually sold, I think, 28 copies of that now.
That'd sit on
all
the
the
shelf
family
for quite a
members.
while in most
Yes,
bookstores.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be too many people who'd be buying that. So obviously that wasn't for commercial sale, but it was the same process of finding a printer to do it. It was also then go back and learning the software. Ironically, I used to teach the software that was being used 20, 30 years ago, the original versions of it. But then just relearning the software to do all the page layout and everything else.
Yeah. And then so what you find all the details online, upload it.
And then found a printer.
Yeah. Organise how many copies you want, pay the fee, and they show up at the mail, do they?
No, I would go and pick it up.
Okay.
It's a printer in Melbourne, so it's a 4 hours drive, 2 hours there and back to go and pick them up. And I picked up another 200 yesterday.
Boom. Yeah. And then, okay,
I've already got 5 of those, 7 of those gone.
So what do you do? What have you done?
To another bookshop.
You've printed them out, and then what do you do in terms of trying to actually move them locally as a self-publisher?
Well, there's a bit of self-marketing, so social media marketing, but other than paid marketing, which I'm not in a position to do that, I'm never going to sell enough to start paying for ads. But
well, I guess you could. You could probably do it via Facebook or YouTube and just target the Bellarine area.
Oh, I have. Yeah, I know. I could
run the ads on it, but you would have to work out what
you're paying hundreds of dollars to run an ads, and I make $10 a book. I'm going to have to sell 30, 40 books just to break even on the advertising.
Work it out. Yeah, you'd have to work it out.
So there was just promotion on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and various birding groups and stuff on Facebook, and then local ones on Bellarine Peninsula.
Yeah.
And I sell direct through my website, so you can go to my website and find the link and just
What's
pay
the
me
website,
through
Dad?
IanSmithsonPhotography.com.
Yep. We'll leave it in here. I get a 50% commission. That's through inheritance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll see it in another 10, 20,
you'll
30
see
years.
it in, whenever I drop off the twig, you can have,
it. Drop off the twig. Is that a birding analogy or?
Well, yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, good. Okay, so and then you've gotten these books. You're selling them online, but you've also gone and
found local booksellers.
Yeah.
And what I tried to do was to look for independent bookshops because they're much more likely to take local authors.
Why is that the bigger ones won't? Because they've got shelf space paid for and everything.
Well, the bigger ones typically are franchise. So, and they have purchasing is all done through head office.
Yeah.
And then they send the books out to the shops.
So it's just a massive
Whereas
pain
the
in the
independent
arse.
bookshops buy the books themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them are buying the books and then reselling them. Others you put them there on consignment. So and they take a percentage of the price when it gets sold.
So for the nosy people listening, how much is a book selling for, and how much money are you taking as
all right, I'll
profit?
do the typical breakdown.
Yeah. Because I'm sure that's one of the things they'll be thinking. Tell us the money, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. So these are small books. It's 120 pages, A5 size. So if you're not in the UK or Australia, it's novel size,
but thinner.
120 pages, full colour. So there's photographs of 78 species or something, as well as all the locations and so on.
It'd be pretty useless if it was just text and black and white.
So 200 books cost me roughly $10 a book to print, so $2,000 to print 200 books.
Yep.
I'm selling it for retail for $30. A couple of the bookshops have decided to sell it for more than that, which is their choice. But if you go to my website, it's $30.
The recommended retail price.
So
right?
if you buy through me, obviously I get it all, and it's plus postage. So I add $12.50 postage, which doesn't quite break even, but it pays for the waterproof plastic padded bag and the postage to send it anywhere in Australia. International postage is going to be more than that, but it's not really an international market, so I haven't really worried about
there's
it.
lots of those people in
all
France
those people
and
in
the US
Iran that want to go and buy a book on the Bellarine Peninsula birds.
Gagging to learn about the local birds here. That's
Ocean
it.
Grove.
Imagine that you one day find out you have some small group of Iranians from
exactly.
from the north that are just like, no, the Bellarine Peninsula birds are where it's at. That's the cherry on the cake.
To go. So sell it for 30. It's cost me 10, so there's a $20 notional profit there.
Yeah.
And most bookshops will take between 30 and 40%
Overall.
of the recommended retail price.
So you walk away with
So
what?
if they 40, I walk away with $8 a book.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
They make $12 a book, and the printer gets 10.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Yeah, it is funny how much you would think like the book. It's when you go to a bookstore and you see something that's like $20, $30, $40, you'd think, fuck, the author must be raking it in terms of a fair chunk of that, and then you realise it's less. It'll always be less than half, and usually closer to 10%,
$1 or
maybe not
$2.
even. Yeah.
If it's from a normal publisher,
Yeah,
you're lucky to
yeah.
make more than $2 a book.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
That's for a
right?
normal paperback style thing. You might
Yeah.
make $10 a book on a $80
Yes.
colour glossy coffee table book, but
Yes. So would you recommend this process to other people if they wanted to go through it and do it?
it's fun if you like sitting in front of a computer for a long time
And you're retired.
and
you've
you're
got spare
tired.
time.
Yeah, and you got the time. But the software I use Adobe software for almost everything. But the software takes a while to learn to use, and you've
Yeah.
got to have a bit of graphic design skills and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And I did all the artwork myself, so drawing the maps and things.
I imagine
but
you could
it's-
probably outsource all this, but it will cut into your
but yeah,
profits.
exactly.
You have to pay someone to do
If
it.
you're paying somebody, well, and I did all the editing, so that again is a pain in the ass. It's one of the hardest things in the world is to edit your own work.
Yeah, I was about to say, especially editing your own work, because you just you get a blind.
Yeah, well, you know what it says.
blind spot for it
so
all.
you read it without reading it.
Yeah. That was
it's
always
really
my
hard
issue.
to read word for word.
Yes.
To check spelling and punctuation and those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was to pay, even for a 120-page book, there's only 20,000 words because most of it's pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably less than 20,000 words. But if I was to send this off to an editor for 20,000 words, they get $1,000.
Yeah.
Because it's 3 or 4 days' work for them to go through a couple of times to check it. But,
Yeah, 100%.
and particularly if they're checking for context as well, then it has to be somebody with local expertise.
Yes,
And
yes.
bird experts.
Yeah.
Oh, you've labelled this bird incorrectly.
Well, this is where I guess,
So-
I keep spruiking AI to people, but I can imagine that AI would do all the grammar and everything, spelling, and that's like straight away if you need that done, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, I do that up front, but again, that's only 98% accurate. There's still 2% of the time where it misses something. Particularly, it doesn't pick up spelling errors if the word if what you put in is a legitimate word.
Yeah, okay, so not the context difference, right? Yeah. Like if you wrote saw as SOAR instead of SORE or something, right?
Exactly.
If they're pronounced the same. Yeah, cool. All right. Anything else to add?
No,
besides
not really.
Spruik it again. Where can people get this book if they're interested in bird watching down on the Bellarine Peninsula?
IanSmithsonPhotography.com.
Yep.
And there's a link off the front page. So-
Well, and I guess too, if you guys can't remember that URL, just send me a message and I'll pass you on Dan's
and if they can
site.
spell my name, they can find it.
Yeah.
I'm the only Ian Smithson in the world.
Isn't it? It's weird
which
having
is
a weird
bizarre.
surname like
It's
that
bizarre.
where you're so unique.
I know, and it's sort of it might end up trapping me at some stage in my life. If your name's John Smith, there's plausible deniability for everything.
Yeah.
But if you're the only person with that name, there has been one other, my uncle, but he died a long time ago.
Fell off the twig a long time
He
ago.
did fall off the twig a long time ago. Yes.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, Dad. Thanks for sharing the story. And yeah,
all right.
guys, if you're going to go bird watching down here in the Bellarine Peninsula, go and do it.
Check it out.
Check it out. Yeah, give it a bell. See ya.
See ya.